Hello there guys, what is going on? SonOfChelsea back here again for my team selector ahead of the game against Arsenal on Boxing Day. It's a big game for Chelsea. I think it's a pressured game once again. Despite Arsenal's recent struggles and plight, I feel this is still a tense game. I think it will be, at least for the early stages. Chelsea cannot show any complacency here, despite Arsenal's current position in the Premier League, despite them lacking a lot of confidence under Arteta and sort of the direction of that club seeming a little bit aimless at the moment. I still feel there are threats here for Chelsea, absolutely, and I don't want Chelsea to feel that the job is already done and just turning up will be enough, because I don't think that will be the case at all. And I feel that eventually Arsenal will show some quality, and let's hope it's not in this game. But look at the last time we faced Arsenal under Arteta. We lost the FA Cup final, so maybe that can be a motivating factor for both teams. The revenge for Chelsea going into this game, but also maybe for Arsenal seeing Chelsea and then suddenly turning up. So a bit like Newcastle over the years. Some teams struggle and then they turn up against Chelsea and they turn into Brazil in the 70s. Let's hope that isn't the case for Arsenal on Saturday. But going into this game, team news, Frank Lampard confirming that HAKIM ZIYECH is not available. A real surprise, because I did expect him to be involved somehow in the squad, but maybe he's had a setback in his recovery. Massive blow, I think, creatively, because we are lacking his influence at the moment on the pitch on that right-hand side, and especially not having James or ZIYECH potentially for this game, because Frank also mentioned that Reece James and Ben Chilwell are big doubts for this game. Not ruling them out, so maybe one could recover in time. Maybe Reece James, considering he sat out the West Ham game. I think that'd be massive for Chelsea against Arsenal's current defence from the right. But big players missing, and it's down to Chelsea to deal with that. We dealt with that eventually against West Ham, but you do feel we lack something creatively on that right hand side without Reece James, and especially HAKIM ZIYECH. And Ben Chilwell, let's hope he's not out for too long moving forward over this festive period. But let's go into Arsenal. Struggling at the moment. There's massive pressure under Mikel Arteta, as expected. It seems like a long time ago that FA Cup final happened in terms of the optimism around Arsenal. They were moving in the right direction. They've not won in their last 5. They currently sit 15th in the Premier League. Absolute stunning turn of events that they are sat there at this point of the season. Despite maybe being a month behind where we usually are, it's still an awful place for Arsenal to be in. This was their last lineup. They do go with a 3-4-3. This was against Everton. I didn't really want to look at the lineup they had against Man City in the League Cup, because that was quite heavily rotated, and I think the starting 11 against us will replicate something like this. Bernd Leno in goal, Holding, Luiz and Kieran Tierney as a back three. Interesting, and this is something that people have pointed out about Arteta's system, is sometimes it can fluidly look and shift into a back four. Kieran Tierney will push up, and then you'll see Oneni sort of shift a little bit deeper in that system. But I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles is a really impressive player alongside Saka. Maitland-Niles, I'm a little bit surprised he doesn't play more for Arteta, and also doesn't play in a more central role. That's something Arsenal fans have been calling for. Nicolas Pepe did score last week from the penalty spot, but he struggled for form. And Aubameyang is a fitness concern going into this game, and I feel without Aubameyang, you do question where the goals are going to come from Arsenal, especially in open play. They really struggle to create chances. And Willian, I'm not going to say anything about Willian, despite his form this year for Arsenal. I just think it'd be typical he turns into the Willian Chelsea know in terms of being a quality player. So maybe he'll suddenly decide to turn up for the game against Chelsea. I think that'd be typical. It's down to Chelsea here to really take the initiative in this game, or at least understand the threats that Arsenal pose, and also look at their weaknesses, and Frank Lampard trying to target and expose them at the weekend. So I do feel that in terms of key threats for Arsenal, I think Saka's a really interesting player. I think he can hurt you, especially on that left-hand side. I think Tierney's a big player for them in terms of giving width and getting up the pitch and potentially getting balls into the box. As I say, if Aubameyang's not playing, I think they really struggle for goals. But, Lacazette did find the net against Man City, and Pepe as well recently scoring. So there are still some quality players within here. Now, I think there's two ways Lampard can approach this game in terms of sitting back or pressing this team, going at Arsenal early in the game. I think the first goal is absolutely critical here. I think if Chelsea get it, it could be a pretty comfortable win for the Blues, because you want to sort of test that sort of fragility within this Arsenal team, sort of the brittle confidence at the moment. You feel if we get one, we could potentially get two, and the game will open up for us a bit more. But having said that, I think, this Arsenal team will look to sit back. there is a sense that maybe you'd want this Arsenal team to have the ball because they struggle in possession to create, and then we can potentially hit them on the counter, a bit like we did against West Ham the other evening to great effect. I just wonder how Lampard approaches this game. Does he go on the front foot, tries to attack Arsenal? Not maybe having our first choice fullbacks could potentially make us sit a little bit deeper. But then in the other sense, you think, this team under Lampard is a bit progressive. You want to get us on the front foot, creating chances for our best attacking players. So I think it's a weird one for Lampard because it's hard to know what to expect from Arsenal at the moment in terms of Arteta's approach at the moment. I expect a back three. I expect them to sit a little bit deeper and try and hit on the counter. So that could mean Chelsea have a lot more of the ball, which means we have to be good in possession and alert to their counter-attacks on the afternoon. But let's go into my starting 11. Edouard Mendy in goal, finally getting his 10th clean sheet as a Chelsea player the other night against West Ham. Let's hope he gets another one on Saturday evening. Back four, I do think Dave will come in once again. I think Kurt Zouma, Thiago Silva, and obviously the back two threat set pieces. Both of them can score goals. I think that's a big thing for Chelsea. And I do think Emerson will start. Maybe we'll get surprised, a nice surprise in the lineup on Saturday evening when we see one of Ben Chilwell or Reece James in the starting 11. I think that'll be massive for Chelsea. I think creatively you want maybe Reece James in there as well, but I think both of these players will likely miss this game, which is unfortunate. Let's hope both of Emerson and Dave have good games because they need to take their opportunity. And as well, losing two key figures within this system for Lampard is massive. Let's hope that Emerson has a good showing because I think he can be a liability at times in terms of letting players onside, keeping players onside and maybe losing that concentration. I also think Dave on that left side with the likes of Kieran Tierney, I do concerned about his pace. Going into midfield, I was a little bit stunned that Jorginho started the other night. I don't think he'll be starting again against Arsenal. I think it will look more like the midfield in a 4-3-3 that Lampard has gone for. N'Golo Kante sitting as a DM, a key player in a type of game like this, especially against Arsenal's midfield. I think Chelsea, if we're on top form, can win the midfield battle, which is so key in these big games. Mateo Kovacic, I felt, had a positive influence off the bench the other night. He needs to take his opportunity now, starting once again. And Mason Mount, deadly from corners this season. He really is. He's able to find the likes of Thiago Silva and Kurt Zouma in the box. So if we're struggling in open play, that's an area Chelsea can exploit Arsenal potentially in defence. Front three, I don't think it's going to change from the one that started the other night. With no Ziyech, Hudson-Odoi, you could argue, could come in here. But I think Timo Werner, let's hope this is the night he finally breaks his goal drought, basically. I think with the amount of positions, good positions he gets into, I think looking at the XGs created over recent games, he's going to find a net eventually, and I think it'd be massive for him to finally get one goal. And I think once he gets one, I think it will be a bit like sort of a snowball effect. I think after one, he'll get another and another, and I think it's just about getting that ball into the back of the net anywhere it comes, even if it's a deflection off his backside. I think that will help. On the left, Christian Pulisic is now looking sharp, back to full fitness. Keeping Pulisic fit is, I think, massive, and hopefully a bit of personal redemption for Christian Pulisic because, of course, getting injured in that FA Cup final where he scored the opening goal looked a real threat. I felt it was such a big blow to Chelsea to lose Christian Pulisic in that FA Cup final. I mean, sliding doors effect. If Pulisic was fit for the rest of that game, I think Chelsea may have gone on to win the final against Arsenal. He's such a big player for us, and it's great to see him getting back to some sort of fitness and also sharpness. And I feel this could be the game where he potentially scores a goal or just really destroys that Arsenal defence. I think there could be a potential here for Pulisic to do it because I'm starting to see him get back into his best form in terms of movement, getting into the box in central areas where he can be so dangerous for Chelsea. So hopefully Pulisic has a big game on Saturday. And then we get to the forward. Of course, you could look towards Olivier Giroud against his old club. If Arsenal sit a little bit deeper and you're crossing into the box from wide, you want Giroud in the box. But I do think Tammy Abraham maybe has just earned the right to start this game after scoring 2 goals against West Ham. I just think I'd go for Tammy for a little bit more of a mobile and quick front three here. I think the way Tammy can influence the game of not only Christian Pulisic but also help create space for Timo Werner in attack as well. So that is my starting 11 against Arsenal. Let me know yours in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.